So guys, let's quickly run this lecture note on blood anatomy. The blood is a connective tissue. We discuss connective tissue and body tissues, and is a fluid connective tissue. It circulates through the body and is propelled by the heart. The heart is like a pumping machine that pumps blood through the body. The volume of blood in a 70 kg man, an adult, is 5.6, is about 5.6 liters. Okay. And the blood functions to transport oxygen, nutrient, hormones, heat, antibodies, clotting factors, and waste products. So let's talk about the composition of blood. The blood has the liquid portion that we refer to as the plasma, and it has the cellular components, the red blood cell, the white blood cell, and the platelet. So the plasma is about 55% of blood volume, and the main component of the plasma is water. Plasma is 90%, about 90% water. Now, plasma itself contains plasma proteins too in the water. So it's a form of a colloidal solution. And the plasma proteins that are present in the plasma include albumin, globulins, fibrinogen. Then apart from the proteins, we also have inorganic salt, nutrient, waste product, hormones, and gases. Albumin is responsible for the osmotic pressure of the blood plasma, while globulins have a sort of immune functions. Like for globulins, they have immune functions like formation of antibody, immunoglobulins, while fibrinogen are responsible for the clotting activities of the blood. Then they also contribute to the osmotic pressure, but not as much as albumin contributes. Okay, so the plasma viscosity, that's the thickness of the plasma, like I said earlier on, is mainly by albumin and fibrinogen. Why all plasma proteins, albumin, fibrinogen, they are formed in the liver. The exception is immunoglobulin. Albumin is also the most abundant plasma protein. It is about 60% of the total plasma proteins. The serum and plasma are synonymous, but there's a difference between the two. The serum is plasma from which clotting factors have been removed, and the most abundant clotting factor is fibrinogen. So it's safe to say that the serum is a plasma from which fibrinogen has been removed. So let's take a look at the plasma proteins one after the other. The albumin. Albumin maintains the osmotic pressure of the blood of the plasma, and it transports some other things like fatty acid, drugs, and all. While globulins, it includes antibodies for immunity. So globulins have immune function. It also transports hormones and minerals. Fibrinogen is essential for blood clotting. So if you do not remember anything about these plasma proteins, know that albumin is responsible for the osmotic pressure of the blood, of the plasma. Then it also transport drugs and some other stuffs. Then know that globulins have immune actions, antibody action, immunoglobulins and all that. Then fibrinogen is essential for blood clotting. So let's talk about the cellular component of the cell, of the blood. We have talked about the fluid component of the blood, which is the plasma and its constituents, including proteins and some other things. The cellular component of the blood is about 45% of blood volume. And of course, you know that most blood cells are synthesized in the red bone marrow through the process called hemopoiesis. And in adult, hemopoiesis in the skeleton is confined to flat bones, regular bones, and the end of long bones, the epiphysis, the end of long bones. The main sites for hemopoiesis are the sternum, the the chest bone, okay, and the ribs, the pelvis, skull. Erythrocyte, red blood cell, is also known or is otherwise known as the erythrocyte, and red blood cells are the most abundant type of blood cells. 99% of all blood cells are erythrocytes. They are red blood cells. Red blood cells are biconcave. That's the shape of biconcave. They have mature red blood cells have no nucleus, so they are anucleated. The diameter is about 7 micrometer. This shape is very important, biconcave, and the fact that they do not have nucleus, so is important. So what are the functions of the red blood cell? They transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. It contains hemoglobin. This hemoglobin is the red pigment which oxygen binds to. So the red blood cell transport oxygen in form of oxyhemoglobin. That's the oxygen binding to the hemoglobin. The lifespan of a red blood cell is approximately 120 days. That's about 4 months. Okay? And after which the cell gets broken down or hemolysis take place, and it is carried out by macrophages in the spleen, bone marrow, and the liver. So we can say that this spleen, bone marrow, and liver clears out dead red blood cells. The process of erythrocyte development from stem cells take about 7 days, and it's called erythropoiesis. This erythropoiesis is the formation of red blood cell from the red bone marrow, and it is stimulated by the hormone erythropoietin. This hormone erythropoietin is produced by the kidneys, and it stimulates the production of red blood cells. Now let's go to white blood cells that we otherwise known as the leukocytes. What are the functions of the white blood cell? Defense and immunity. Those are the major functions. Then we have 5 types. We have the neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, monocytes, lymphocytes. So if you do not remember anything, just know that all the sites are agranulocytes, while all the fields are granulocytes. I take that again. All the sites are agranulocytes, while all the fields are granulocytes. So the granulocyte, what the meaning, literal meaning is that they contain granules in their cytoplasm, and they have multi-lobed nuclei. While the agranulocyte have large nucleus, no granules. Platelets. Platelets are otherwise known as thrombocytes, and they are small disc cell fragments about 2 to 4 micrometer in diameter. The function of the platelet majorly is blood clotting, otherwise known as hemostasis. Blood clotting, otherwise known as hemostasis. So if they say which blood cell is responsible for blood clotting, they say platelets or thrombocyte. So let's talk about the process of blood clotting itself. So when you have a cut, some blood vessels get damaged. Now, so the first thing that happens in the process of blood clotting is vasoconstriction. These damaged blood vessels must constrict to reduce blood flow. Then after vasoconstriction, we now have platelet plug formation. So platelets now begin to stick to the damaged vessel walls. They stick to each other and they form a temporary seal, okay? And after platelet plug formation, we have coagulation. So series of reactions will now lead to the conversion of fibrinogen, which is a plasma protein that we said is responsible for blood clotting, and a series of reactions leading to the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin, forming a stable clot. So coagulation process itself is the conversion of that plasma protein fibrinogen into fibrin to form stable clots. Thrombolysis is now the breakdown of the clot by plasmin, allowing for tissue repair. Once the clot has been formed, it has to also be broken down by plasmin to allow for tissue repair. And this process by which it breaks down is thrombolysis. So now it's just good you familiarize yourself with some of these blood disorders. Like, take for instance, anemia. Anemia is a red blood cell disorder, and it means that in literal terms, people say shortage of blood, but it's caused by various factors and deficiency. And what happens is that there is a reduced oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Then while polycythemia is increase in the number of erythrocytes. So this is like excess red blood cells, and this also increase the blood viscosity. Leukocyte disorders. When we say leukopenia, it means reduced white blood cell. And when we say leukocytosis, it means increased white blood cell. And this is often due to infection. Why leukemia is a kind of cancer of the blood forming tissues. And this now leads to abnormal white blood cells. So when we say thrombocytopenia, it means low platelets. Low platelets. Vitamin K is necessary for synthesis of clotting factors. So when we have a deficiency of vitamin K, there will be bleeding or hemorrhagic disorder. Okay. So we said hematopoiesis is the formation of blood cell, any blood cell in the red bone marrow, while erythropoiesis is specifically the formation of red blood cell, which is stimulated by erythropoietin produced from the kidneys. Now, so let's leave some of these blood disorder and go to blood groups. For blood groups, we have the ABO system. So we have 4 blood types, A, B, AB, O. Okay. Now, and based on the presence of antigens on red cell, if your blood group is A, it means that you have the antigen A in your blood. And if your blood group is B, you have the antigen B in your blood. If your blood group is AB, it means you have both antigen A and B in your blood. Okay. Then if your blood group is O, it means that you do not have any antigen. You neither have antigen A nor antigen B in your blood. So the AB, they are universal recipients. The reason why they are universal recipients is because they do not have antibodies. Because they have antigen A and antigen B, they do not produce antibody neither against A nor B. Then the reason why the blood group O is a universal donor, particularly O with rhesus negative, O negative. The reason why they're universal donor is because they do not have any antigen. Okay? They do not have any antigen. So the rhesus, if you have the rhesus factor, we say you are rhesus positive. If you don't have, we say you are rhesus negative. So let me take this again. Universal donor is the blood group O, rhesus negative, while universal recipient is the blood group AB. Okay. So let's summarize the functions of the blood cells again. We said the red blood cells transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. And it's able to transport oxygen because of the presence of the pigment hemoglobin that oxygen can bind to. Why blood cells? We said they are for defense and immunity. So we said earlier on that the granulocytes are the fuse, while the agranulocytes are the sites. So the granulocytes we have neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, while the agranulocytes we have the monocytes and the lymphocytes. So what are the functions? Neutrophils is for phagocytosis, and particularly it phagocytoses bacteria. Eosinophils. Eosinophils is for parasites. It clears out worms. Parasites majorly, it clears out worms, intestinal worms, and all that. While basophils is involved in allergic reactions. Basophils are closely associated with allergic reactions. And this is because they contain cytoplasmic granules. And these cytoplasmic granules are packed with heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant. The cytoplasmic granules are also packed with histamine and other substances that promote inflammation. Monocytes and macrophages, they phagocytose dead cells and pathogens, while lymphocytes is responsible for specific immune responses. And we have T cells and B cells as examples of our lymphocytes. Then platelets is involved in preventing blood loss or is involved in blood clotting. This is important. Let me take the functions of these blood cells again. One, we said red blood cell transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. And it's able to transport oxygen because of the red pigment hemoglobin that oxygen binds to form oxyhemoglobin. Then white blood cells are for defense mechanisms. And you know that we said we have some types of white blood cells. The granulocytes, which are all the fields, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. So neutrophils phagocytose bacteria, while eosinophils combat parasites. Examples are worms, iron. Then basophils are involved in allergic reactions, and these basophils are closely associated with allergic reaction because of the cytoplasmic granules that contain heparin, histamine, and other substances that promote inflammation. Monocytes and macrophages, they phagocytose pathogens and dead cells, while lymphocytes are for specific immune responses. So we have the T cells and the B cells, while the platelet is involved in clotting, but the prevention of blood loss. So this brings us to the end of the blood anatomy. All the best, guys.